and they're next on the docket.
Next on the docket. That's right. Texas 22-45, number 22 in the country. They lost to Oklahoma to 45-53. Texas Tech against the number 24 ranked in the country, Iowa State 31-15. Iowa State, I mean, they're winning. They're leading the Big 12.
They're 3-1. I've got to say they're in the driver's seat of the Big 12. I know Oklahoma State's undefeated. I don't see Oklahoma State beating Iowa State. Hell, I don't see Oklahoma State beating Texas or Oklahoma. But we got to let the games play out. I just think at this moment, from what I watched last week of Iowa State playing Oklahoma, I think Iowa State's a team to beat in that conference. I really do. But they're 3-1. The winner of that conference is going to have about minimum 2 losses, in my opinion.
Yeah. So they're definitely not making the playoffs.
If they can run the table and win the conference and finish
9-1.
Yeah, was it 10-1? 10-1 then?
Okay,
Yeah.
Are they playing 11 games?
I think they're playing 10. They play 11 plus a conference. So that's what 11-1. I think if they do that, Iowa State's in.
Right.
But if it's going to be one of those where they're just knocking each other off every week, no, you're going to see 2 SEC teams and Ohio State and Clemson.
Yeah.
Well, heck, if something happens, nothing's weird has happened in the ACC, I don't think, unless North Carolina does something special. But we don't really know. No one would have thought Oklahoma is losing 2 games. Nobody would have thought LSU would be 1-3. So who knows what kind of ridiculousness we're in for when the Big Ten starts.
Well, I guess my thing is with all this stuff is you don't know what these guys are doing in practice. Are they having actual full-on practices like they've had in the past? Or they, due to the COVID, they're not actually spending so much time doing physical activities, working on pre-game prep in big groups? Or I don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening.
I think most of the teams are practicing normal. I know that the limit for the SEC to have a game is 53 guys. Vanderbilt only had 56 yesterday. That many guys were not playing due to corona-related issues. I'd say that they're all playing, are all practicing as normal. But you look at the talent teams like Oklahoma and LSU have, and you'd never suspect what's been happening to them this year. So that's when I look at a team like Ohio State and a team like Clemson. I don't think it's going to catch up to Clemson, and I don't think it's going to happen to Ohio State, but some weird things are happening this year. So you never know. A team with superior talent's not always winning every game. So, I mean, and I kind of was under the impression with no spring football, the offenses would be far behind. And as you saw with Georgia, I think Georgia's offense is getting a little bit better each week. If it clicks, it's going to be trouble for the rest of the SEC. But as a whole, everybody else's offense is much farther ahead than defenses, which is why you're seeing these huge scores, good defenses giving up a boatload of points and yardage. So everyone's kind of been saying, there's nobody playing defense anymore. Well, Georgia is, but nobody else seems to be playing except for maybe Clemson.
Right. I mean, that's a credit to Kirby Smart and his recruiting. He's done the job on the defense side of the ball.
And he's, as far as Kirby Smart goes, and Dabo Swinney's the same way. Well, it's not really Dabo, it's Brent Venables. Because Brent Venables runs that D. Kirby Smart has a big hand in Georgia's defense. Not only do they get the 4- and 5-star guys, but the right 3 stars that they get, they coach them up to become some of the top guys in the league. Both teams have multiple 3 stars starting on defense that are, conference All-Americans and potential, first, second round draft picks that were just, 3-star guys coming out of high school.
Right.
So
getting coached up.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've seen both of those guys already put 3 stars in the NFL that turned into superstars.
Right. Well, the first big game of the season, I guess this is what you can consider this the first real big battle of juggernauts. Number 3 Georgia against number 2 Alabama next week at 8 o'clock. I'm thinking Georgia's going to win in a squeaker. I feel like you want to go in another direction.
Yeah. Nick Saban's mad, and nothing in the world and nothing good ever happens in the world with Nick Saban pissed off. He's not happy with his defense. I Alabama losing. As much as impressed I am with Georgia's defense and their ability to shut down the best players on the opposing team, including guys that are conference All-Americans in the SEC. Seth Williams, wide receiver for Auburn. See what they did: -1 rushing yards against Tennessee, with an offensive line that all week long, the pundits have been saying how good that offensive line for Tennessee is, and those two running backs, Ty Chandler guy was leading the SEC in rushing. -1 rushing yards in the game yesterday. Their first team was in for the whole game, and Georgia put in their third team and basically sacked them 3 times on the last drive, including the last play to end the game. But every time Bama loses in a championship game, they come back the next year and kick everyone's ass. Nick Saban's mad. I just see them bringing the house against Stetson Bennett every single play, and I don't know if Georgia will be able to score enough to keep pace with them.
Yeah, at 12 o'clock next Saturday, Auburn, South Carolina. This might be the loser loses his job game. I don't know. It's going to be a noon start. I don't know. We've been to South Carolina. If it's a hot day, you're generally, if you're a guest, you're sitting about
miserable.
10 feet away from the sun.
Yeah.
So, other games on the docket next week: 3:30 game, CBS, LSU, Florida. Again, we don't know what either of these two teams really are having to show because they've really been Jekyll and Hyde all season long.
I'm picking LSU to win this game. It's a must-win. It's a big game. It's a rivalry game. You know, that's LSU and Florida's main cross-division rival every year. And I think LSU's going to take them. LSU won last year, obviously. Really good game. Florida game, all they can handle. Yeah. I just have a feeling LSU's taking them. Yeah, I really do. I don't think Dan Mullen's a great coach. He cried and cried yesterday because he said, well, Texas A&M had a lot of people in the stands, and that was definitely their advantage. So we got to pack the stadium. What a puss.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to go with LSU as well. Ed's gets back against the wall already. This is early, way too early. Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Jimbo's getting it done right now. He won a big game this week, and I'm going to go A&M's going to take Mississippi State. It's going to be a good game, though.
Mississippi State took down LSU the first week of the season, and KJ Costello looked like Tom Brady. Since then, he's looked like me. And they are awful. And so what is it? Leach said he was going to maybe cut some guys that weren't buying in, whatever. They look bad. So I'm going to obviously Texas A&M.
And we'll do one more. Oklahoma State versus Baylor, 7:30. Also on ABC. Got it. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State, 3-0. Going to make it 4-0. Number 7 against the unranked Baylor team. This
is how crazy the Big 12 is. You look at these overall records. Oklahoma State 3-0, only undefeated team in the Big 12. Baylor's 1-1. They had missed a couple of games due to COVID. They kept, had to postpone them or whatever. Baylor's a pretty good football team. They lost a heartbreaker in overtime last week to West Virginia. They're not a bad ball club. I've been so up and down on, Oklahoma State. They look good one week, they look crap the next week, and then the minute I'm down on them, they look good. The minute I'm back on the bandwagon, they look like crap. I don't even know where I am this week. Flip a coin. Who knows what's going to happen in that game? It's the crazy COVID season of 2020, so that tells you that Baylor's going to win the game, and nobody in the Big 12 is going to have an unblemished record. Whether or not Oklahoma State wins or not, I don't care. Iowa State's taking this, in my opinion. So.
All right. Well, this is going to conclude this week's episode. We're going to try to meet again next Sunday, God willing. This is Middle Dad and Thor. This is Terry and Brett.
Appreciate you watching.
You guys have a good day.
See ya.
All right. 27 minutes.